Was seconds that. Did you see anything that was caused to you? Okay, all right. With that said, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. What announcements do we have?
Mayor, I'd like to make this board aware of our exit conference that we had this morning with State Board of Accounts. They have done things a little differently this year as because of our ARP, that we still have some of that left. And if that money threw us over the threshold to do a federal audit, they were disallowing it. So we were close because the threshold for federal money that the city receives is $1 million. But they did this ARP audit and they're saying it's going to take 4 days. So the good news was everything was, no findings. And now we will not have a regular financial audit until 2027.
No.
So that in itself and not having to do a federal audit will save the city and the utilities around $30,000.
Wow.
Great.
So we were glad to get that news.
Yeah, but I always really enjoy audits because I say enjoy is probably the wrong word, but I like audits. So because if we see something, we can always correct it right away.
Yeah.
But again, Jan has just done fantastic. There's not been any issues at all since I've been in office. So, good. So, what other announcements? Gentlemen, would you like to say something today?
Yes.
Lakeview Drive, okay,
I've got several questions if you get time to listen to me.
sure.
Okay. This stormwater thing, how do we ever handle stormwater in the past? Just like went off.
How do we again?
How do we ever handle stormwater in the past?
They didn't.
Or did it bother us?
It does, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't had any stormwater. I would probably say maybe 10% of the city had any type of stormwater. And a lot of that was plugged up, crushed, destroyed. So we've had a lot of issues with stormwater. And in doing so, basically the state has actually given us a mandate. It's an HS4. And that we are going to have to identify all of the areas in Scottsburg to be able to be handled, so that we're going to make a mapping, as it were, of where we're going to put stormwater lines in and going forward with this. We have areas we've tried to identify as the greatest areas of need right now. And those areas that we've identified is Lover's Lane and Larry Lane. And with any type of rain at all, they're up to their ankles when they go out to go to work in the morning. They're up to their ankles in water. You may not be there at your house, but it is there at their house. And we have a lot of areas like that. We have several areas over on the northeast side of Scottsburg that are having the same issues there. So the stormwater is something that just basically hadn't been addressed in years and years and years. And
This is an ongoing charge, isn't it, that we do every year?
it will be, sir.
I understand what you're doing as far as saying, okay, you take one house, 3,100 square feet. Everybody who has a house is going to get 3,100 square feet charged against $7 a unit, whatever you call it.
Yes.
Right. I have a house. I also have a lot behind my house. I have nothing on it.
Right.
So it's not, it percolates.
Sure.
Why can't I pay the charge on that?
As long as does it have asphalt on it?
No.
Yeah, no, you're not.
Just grass.
You wouldn't be charged with it?
Every single lot has been charged with a single ERU.
Okay.
Right, our church, Catholic Church in Scottsburg, across the street,
Right.
2 lots.
Right.
Get some gravel on it.
Right.
$84 on each one. After that now, I can understand what you're going for, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't like it, but I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah.
That's Columbus. We have a big hall, we have a big lot, but we also have 20 acres of land roughly.
Yeah.
And none of it, it's all tilted away from the street, so it's all going on our property. Why should we pay for the water runoff on our property when it's on our property? These are the things that stupid people like me,
No, you're not stupid.
don't understand your figuring. I understand if it's going to the road, it's going across the street, and in fact, the hospital is running water from their area across to us. I don't know what the
How
hospital.
do they do that?
There's a pipe coming on.
For stormwater?
I don't know if it's stormwater, but a lot of water runs across there.
Yeah.
Comes across between us and the.
Across the highway then?
Off 31, yeah, under
Okay.
31.
So again, there's an error. Go ahead.
One of the reasons for the fee is, and the reason why they did a single lot for each property, the businesses and nonprofits and those kinds of things are getting, they're rated based on their impervious surface. But the single lots are all just a flat fee across the board. And one of the reasons is because we're having problems with stormwater running off onto other properties that aren't supposed to. So we're gonna try and build up the infrastructure over the next couple of years to get all that taken away from your property, basically, so that it won't cause more damage.
Well, I don't understand it. Why the water on a property that's not flowing to somebody else? Like my property, it's a backyard, nothing back there at all. So it's not going into your street or going down the Lakeview Drive and going down to 31 or nothing else. It's there.
Yeah.
So I can't see why I'm paying for that. For the church, anybody that's got property with nothing on it, why they should be paying $84 a year. And again, Knights of Columbus, I'm only bringing that up because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's not flowing to the street. It's laying on both sides of the property that's paved, and there's tons of land behind it. So why the heck should we be paying for it?
Can I give you this?
Sure, I got one of them. If that's what it is.
No, that's not the same thing. This is different.
Okay,
That might answer some of your questions, though.
okay. But if it doesn't, what do I do? Do I have to write a formal letter saying I disagree with you? Show me why I have to pay this because I don't follow under the category you said. I don't have any impervious lot back here. It's all perfect.
We don't want to put any burden on any of our residents that's not necessary. And because we've received this mandate from the state, we've gotten together to figure out how we can comply with the state and well as to the least area that we would hurt our people. So right now, what we have in our budget is such that we can be able to go forward with this, because there's going to be a tremendous amount of work in the next 10 to 20 years with this. And because it's not been taken care of. And as a result of that, we have, just like you said, water coming across the highway. Those things should not happen. But, you know as well as I do, that down where the old Copeland store is at, you have to drive in the middle of 4 lanes just to get through at times. Really bad events like that. We have a tremendous amount of water coming off Highway 31 there, so we do have issues like that. And unfortunately, this is going to become a utility, or has become a utility, simply because it hasn't been addressed so far. But we're addressing it now. And let me say this, I mean, the utilities, we really haven't hardly had any increases in our utilities. And Scottsburg, I'm going to go down a rabbit trail here, but Scottsburg is, whether you know this or not, is the only city, it's least charging for electricity. We have our own.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
This place is wonderful.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I spent 22 years in California. There's a lot of people, people like out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to come out this way to use for our electricity. I
Yes.
understand that. But I don't understand the point that you set up a procedure that you charge for impervious land.
Yeah.
And when we don't have it, you're still charging us. That's what I don't understand. So,
If you read through that and still have questions, Meredith is our stormwater coordinator,
Yes.
and she'll be happy to answer them for you.
I'm sure I'll have questions, but I'll get the results.
Do you-
At least,
do you have your-
at
do you
least
have your
talk
number
to you,
with
be
him?
a
Okay.
person for you
Well-
to speak to.
Yes, I understand that. I won't get into it.
And Bob, you've got a number for her as well to call and ask. We have engineers you can talk to as well, but
As I say, the way it's written, you're not following your own plan.
no, doing
I
what?
said, the way it's written, if there's nothing built on it, you shouldn't have to pay for it. I understand one other, but I could be wrong. I heard this from somebody, I didn't look it up online yet. It's the Christian church in Rock down there. Someplace out there, they got several acres of land for farming. They're being charged several $100s up for the farmland. Makes sense.
Mr. Gable, could I suggest something or offer something? And the city is paying on their parcels also. So looking at those over the last couple days, someone suggested to me, I don't know if this would be a possibility on your property or not, that it's a simple process to combine parcels. So Josh is shaking his head, so I would assume it is a simple process to go to the courthouse and say, I want to combine these two parcels, and then that would be billed as one. That's maybe a possibility.
It's a great point.
Is
Nobody
okay.
here decided to have the fee. That was done by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. So they hired a consultant firm to basically measure all of the impervious surface of all of the other areas and properties that aren't residential or agricultural. And so they decided to do a flat fee of that. But as Jan said, if you want to combine your properties into one parcel, then that would only be one $7 fee a month.
Well, I guess I just can't get over the words, you know, waterproof or not waterproof.
Yeah.
It's not waterproof, and you have to,
But hopefully we can give you maybe some ways to lower those rates for you.
I could possibly,
Thank you very much.
what you gave him, does that pretty well just tell the way our ordinance was written? It's just like the explanation of how the council passed the ordinance, so I'd be glad to provide that. It seems like you broke it down.
Gave you a copy of it.
Sir, yes, sir, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is James Cruz. I live at 132 Chipaway Lane.
Okay,
And I'm here because I'm the treasurer for the local Knights of Columbus Council. But having heard what I've heard now, I got a couple of questions. This assessment is intended to develop an account
Yes.
which you're going to draw from
yes,
to make these necessary or these mandated improvements, these
Yes.
infrastructure improvements.
yes.
Okay. And you're looking at developing a prioritized listing of projects that you're going to execute based on this account,
Yes.
right? So you're trying to generate this account.
We already have a list started.
Okay,
It's just gonna grow, and the more people that request an estimate or an investigation of their stormwater issues will be added to that list.
okay. Well, IDEM probably has already identified where you have risk here in the city, right? And you mentioned yourself, there were two properties, Lover's Lane and some other that required some immediate attention. I'd be interested in just looking at what that list is, that prioritized list.
Sure.
And then I think you're saying that the assessment isn't a one-time assessment, this is an annual assessment. That's visible in the property tax.
It's an annual fee.
It's an annual fee that we have the ability to pay every 6 months, right? We spread that out,
Right.
just like the property tax. Okay. And again, it's not intended to be a one-time assessment, this is every year now. Because of Knights of Columbus, this was never part of our budget.
Yeah.
And so now I have to put it in the budget.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out what falls off the budget in order to take this. Because this is anything I knew about until a couple weeks ago when I looked at the property tax and it went from $42 a year to $2,100 plus. We're a nonprofit organization, we're not in the business of making money. So I
Are you
wanted.
tax exempt?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And
are
we have
tax
some
exempt.
churches that are tax exempt, so we know that we knew that this was going to be somewhat of a hardship for these areas, and we're so sorry.
I'm also a member of the American Waters Catholic Church, and Bob mentioned that we have two properties that are across the street.
Right.
Each one is being assessed around $84. And you're saying now that we have the ability to adjust the paperwork so it looks like one parcel for the purposes of this assessment. So instead of paying $84 each, in the future, if approved, we're only gonna pay $84. So
This is
for
our
those
legal,
two properties that are unimproved.
Yeah.
They're gravel lots, so they're not impervious, they're permeable. Eventually get in, recharge the groundwater. But is that true? Is that a true statement? We're able to work with the system to make it adjust, for the purposes of this assessment, to pay just $184.
this is Josh Stigdon, he's our legal counsel, so is this all correct?
What was the exact question?
We have two parcels that are across the street that are currently used as parking for our services. They're not impervious, they're permeable, they're gravel parking lots. And I was hearing that there was the ability to make an adjustment in the documentation so that it only reflects as one parking lot. And as such, we'd only be assessed $184 annual cost as opposed to two separate
So-
$84 costs.
So generally, the fee is on a per parcel basis. So if you were to not have as many parcels anymore at the courthouse, from a taxing standpoint, then yes, that would change
Yeah,
how the payment is
yeah, we're not
structured.
motivated to make any changes to our documentation. It's a parking spot now, a parking place now, it's gonna be a parking place in the future. But if it means we were able to limit our stormwater liability here, paying, being a contributor to this fund,
Yes.
I guess that's something that we can talk about in our parish.
And let me say this as well, is that this fund cannot be used for anything else. It has to be totally used for just stormwater. So,
Okay, and I'm very interested in IDEM's action that they're taking against this. I have some history. I'm a civil engineer. I'm retired. I was hoping I wouldn't have to come out of retirement. But I am interested in how IDEM is affecting you here and what that ripple effect is for us. And I'm seeing it now in my own personal property where I'm being charged $84.
Yeah.
Not a problem for me, maybe a problem for others that don't even have the means. But it's definitely a problem for us with the Knights of Columbus because it isn't anything we budgeted for, but apparently it's a must-pay bill. So I would like to look into this whole IDEM action that is forcing the city.
If you would like
Just
to
this.
email me or call me, I can email you a copy of the list of projects that we're planning on, as well as the ordinance from item.
Yeah, I saw in the ordinance the mention of the NPDES permit. Can you tell me a little bit more about the NPDES permit?
About what?
Is there an overarching NPDES permit that we have, or is there, for every action you take, you're going to have to pursue a permit? How does that?
We have a stormwater permit for the city, which is for city infrastructure, basically, and repairs and building new infrastructure as well, because there's a lot of areas that don't have storm drains or even drainage basins. So that was part of the ordinance that they required, was that you had to qualify for a permit. In order to qualify for a permit, they're forcing a fee to be paid.
Okay, so then, do you see that, are you seeing in the future for new construction that you're going to have to follow those rules that require retention and detention?
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely,
And not affecting the water, not increasing the flow
correct.
of the property
Yeah,
in terms of volume or temperature?
all new construction has been inspected once a week for the last 8 months. And they will continue to do so. When they do a new construction site, if it's over 1 acre wide, then they have to basically, it's required to have a stormwater planning permit or review done. And then the engineering group will review that. But yeah,
There's usually
it's to make
stormwater-
sure that there's nothing else that's running off from that particular
Right.
new construction.
Right. there's usually a stormwater pollution prevention plan, it's SWIP.
Yeah.
And the companies, it's all part of the storm, that's
I
all
can
part
email
of
that to you
approving,
too
yeah.
if you want,
It's all
yes.
about approving the project prior to that groundbreaking.
I've,
Okay.
yeah, I've got that too. I can email it to you too, if you want.
Yeah, so when I see these improvements across the city, I'm going to see the erosion control. I'm gonna see the sedimentation erosion control measures, because in the past I haven't. And I complained about it a couple of times where I saw groundbreaking taking place and I was watching sediment fall run into the gutter. And you know, it's eventually going to precipitate, it's going to precipitate somewhere down. the
We've
line.
had some pushback with silt fencing installation anyways, but it's an ongoing process to try and get
It's
people to
required, if
understand
you
more.
have now the stormwater, you have Clean Water Act now, you have to have that sort of compliance.
Yeah, that's where this came from. There is also a factor that all of the construction that's going to take place in the city, all of the contractors are going to be required to take a quality professional inspection program, which is usually a couple hours long, and it basically teaches them how to self-investigate their own sites so that they can prevent stormwater pollution and erosion.
Okay, my experience has been bigger projects in the federal government. And we usually have required for major projects, along with their, the actual physical construction, is they have to make the necessary infrastructure improvements in order, so the project pays that cost. And what you're saying here is that that's not necessarily the case. You're going to have an account which you're gonna draw from to make those necessary improvements in support of those projects, or those projects stand alone, and you're gonna tax those projects alone for the required.
Those are technically separate. So what the fee is for is
So let's continue, if you guys continue this conversation, we'll get moving on with the meeting. So, no, you're fine.
So basically, yes, you can, she's in charge of all of this and
So we'll
so.
step out. Continue on.
No, I'd like to go ahead and, I'll make an appointment with her,
Okay.
and just sort of get some background. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. So what else do we have for today? Okay, we've gone through this, okay, so, were there any other, Emily gone as
She's
well?
gone.
Okay,
They're all walking out on us.
okay. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn then?
I'll make a motion to
So,
adjourn.
thank you very much.
Okay.